Well, what is encryption? Well, encryption is the process of hiding a message. And the idea here is that we're protecting it from onlookers, right? We don't want people to be able to read our data. So with encryption, we're going to take plain text data and we're going to convert that into a ciphertext. And this is that ultimately disguised message that we're talking about here. So just to give you an example of how this process might go, we'll go ahead and take a look at the process. You're going to need an encryption key and an encryption algorithm. Now that encryption algorithm that we might choose could be triple DES or AES. Whatever the case may be, we need an encryption key and an algorithm. We're going to take that plain text and using our Cisco iOS software feature, we'll go ahead and run that plain text through the encryption algorithm using the encryption key. And then we'll come out with ciphertext. Now that ciphertext can then be passed across an untrusted network. And then we're going to reverse the process. Now in symmetric key encryption, this decryption key will be the exact same key. We'll go ahead and decrypt it, and then we end up with that plain text and it's readable again. Now when we talk about encryption and sending it across untrusted networks, you have to understand that we need to protect the key. So we have to use strong secret keys and make sure that they are changed often so that they are not going to fall into the hands of an attacker. Now there are different layers that confidentiality can be provided by encryption. So we can encrypt up at the application layer. We might call that PGP, or pretty good privacy. And this is common with email encryption. We can encrypt at the session layer, and we see this with SSL or TLS. We can also encrypt at the network layer, and the protocol that you're probably most familiar with here is IPsec. And that is actually a protocol suite, so there's a number of protocols that fall within IPsec that provide that confidentiality. We can also use MACsec and encrypt down at the data link layer, so we have a couple of options there. Now a good algorithm that we use for encryption is designed in a way that it will resist attack, because you have to understand that it's going to come under scrutiny of attackers. They're going to try to break it. They want to get access to your data. So they're going to try to decrypt that data using as many possible keys that they can generate. Now, with these algorithms, the stronger the algorithm, the longer it takes to come up with a key that could potentially unlock it. So the longer the key we use, the possibility of an attacker guessing the key and unlocking the data is not feasible. It would take way more time than possible for them to be able to do that. So as an example, take a 16-bit key. With a 16-bit key, it would be 65,536 possible keys. If we use a 56-bit key, that means that there's going to be 7.2 times 10 to the 16th possible keys. And so again, the amount of time that it would take to crack these increases as we use a larger key. Now there are two types of encryption to discuss here. The first is known as symmetric encryption, and the second is what's known as asymmetric encryption. And very simply put, symmetric encryption uses the same key to encrypt and decrypt, whereas asymmetric encryption uses different keys to encrypt and decrypt.